The truth is, I am incredibly anticipating and excited. My expectation is high for a collection of sermons I want to do with our church entitled What You Thought You Lost. And frankly, it is in response to what I think a lot of us are feeling right now on the wings of the end of 2019, 2020, the beginning of 2021. If you're like me, you feel maybe like you've lost something. Am I going to be the person that I was before the pandemic, before this global crisis? What have I lost? Will I ever get it back? So we're going to do a collection of sermons, 4 to be exact, talking about certain things that I see within our culture, within our community, within countries around the world. Many of us are fearing, can I recover? Will I recover? Will things get back to normal, whatever normal is? So again, the title of this sermon series is What You and I Think We Lost. Here's what you thought you lost. And I got good news. In the process of these 4 weeks, I think we're going to discover that what you think you lost can be recovered. It actually can be replaced. It actually can be repaired. I got good news for anyone who's tuned in, willing to watch. What you think you lost is not lost forever. Now, what I'd like to start this collection of sermons and messages on is the subject of confidence. Do you feel like you've lost your confidence after such an unusual and unprecedented season, era, chapter, and years in this global climate in whatever part of the world you are in right now? Recently, I was talking to a friend, and I think this is the funniest friend I have ever had. I think he is one of the most brilliant, bright, incredible people. His social skills, he's one of those individuals that if you ever have a dinner or an outing or an event, if he's there, you know it will go well because he will create extraordinary conversation. He will tell brilliant stories and he will make everyone laugh. Recently, we were having a night just hanging out, having dinner, and he was telling a joke, I think it was, and he stopped and he goes, "Hey guys, I'm out of practice. I'm out of practice." And we all kind of laughed, but in truth, talking to my friend later, he's like, "Man, I don't really feel like myself. I haven't had a lot of interaction. I do wonder, am I hitting my social cues? Am I making people feel as important and encouraged and necessary and valuable as I used to before? So much isolation, so much less interaction with one another." What do you think you've lost? Do you feel like you've lost your confidence? Of course, the Bible says, don't get rid of your confidence. Don't let your confidence go, because confidence will actually yield incredible results in your life. Do you feel like you're in your head? Do you feel like you second guess yourself? Are you on Zoom calls like me wondering, is this going well? I can't feel people in the room because we're not in the room and we're using digital devices. Am I who I used to be? Will I ever preach the same? This is the first time in 25 years I have ever gone this long without speaking to an actual physical audience. Like you, I'm wondering to myself, will I be the same on stage? Will I be the same when I walk on stage instead of looking in a lens and when I'm looking in your face? How will it feel? Will I be the same communicator? Will I be the same pastor? Will I be the same Bible teacher? Will I be able to encourage people the same way I used to? Have I lost my confidence? Do you wonder, will I recover it? Will it come back to me? Have I lost it, missed it? Has it been messed up forever? Have you lost your confidence? I want to talk to you. In fact, I'm going to be so bold to say, in the end of the next 20 minutes, I would like to show you that God, yes, God, the creator of heaven and earth, is actually one of his trademark moves, if you will, is repairing, restoring, replacing. The Bible word is redeeming. By definition, God is a redeemer. Let me explain. It has been 3 years, it has been 3 days since the death and crucifixion of Jesus. Now, many of the expecting Jewish worshipers and followers were thrilled to consider that just maybe Jesus was the promised Messiah that the Torah had declared thousands of years. There will come a superhero. There will come a deliverer. There will come a redeemer who will change the nation of Israel. He will protect, restore his people, the Jewish people. And so, 3 days after the crucifixion of Jesus, we find disciples in Acts and chapter 24, Luke and chapter 24. We find 2 disciples. We know one of the names, the other is not named, in Jesus. They don't know it's Jesus yet, but he goes on a 17-mile walk between Jerusalem and Emmaus. We call this the road to Emmaus. And here Jesus has a conversation with these disciples, and they say in verse 21, we all had hoped. It's been 3 days since the high priest and the rulers sentenced him to death, Jesus, and crucified him. But we all had hoped he would be the one who would redeem, there it is, and rescue Israel. Now, the word redeem to you may not be paramount, but you have to understand in the Torah, the word redeemed or the concept of redemption is mentioned 149 times. Sufficient to say it is a very significant theme in the Torah, that the Messiah, the superhero of the ages, the deliverer not only of Israel, but now we understand the deliverer of the whole world, would be a redeemer. What does redeemer mean? It means that someone pays a price to repair, replace, or restore what has been lost. See, these next 4 weeks, what we're actually going to do is do a study on Jesus the Redeemer. What does it mean that Jesus is a repairer, a restorer, a replacer? Now, Jesus does not replace, repair, or restore, or redeem merely by cash or money or his miraculous power. His redemption was purchased by his own crucifixion and declared triumphant by his resurrection. Let me say it in simpler terms. What you think you have lost, Jesus is already ensuring that it will be restored. He's ensuring that it will be repaired. He's ensuring that it will be replaced. It is a paramount theme in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, if you're like me, when things get tough and things get hard, I dig in and go, all right, this is going to be great, right? And I'll never forget when the news started to break. Actually, the story goes, I was having a coffee one morning with my wife, Chelsea, and she read this little article in the Wall Street Journal. I believe it was this big, and it was about this unusual new virus that was breaking out in another part of the world. And she looked at me and she said, and she showed me the little article. Just itty bitty article. She goes, this could be a problem. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, thanks, babe. Where's the sports section? It's like, Judah, it's the Wall Street Journal. There's no sports section, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe there is. I don't know. And I just kind of breezed over it, like I'm sure many of us did. And then before we knew it, it's become literally the most evident, obvious challenge in our maybe one of the most difficult challenges in recent history, this global pandemic. Now, if you're like me, I started the global pandemic like, let's do this. Started strong, full of faith. God's with us. This is going to be awesome. Come on, we can do this. We're going to trust God. Oh, man, I'm tired. Are you tired? And then a little bit of monotony sets in. A little bit of lethargy sets in, a little bit of delusion sets in, a little bit of discouragement sets in, and then here comes those pervasive thoughts. Will the world ever be normal again? Furthermore, will I ever be normal again? If you're like me, I work with people. I love people. I'm a people. I'm a people person. I love to be with people, and well, that's been challenging to say the least. And so you get out of practice with people. You cease the constant interaction If you're like me, you start to wonder, am I still who I was? I started out so strong, started out with so much energy and faith, and we're going to be okay. We're going to fight this virus. And then time wears on and on and on. And well, here we are, wondering in March of 2021, have I lost it? Am I enough? Am I going to be the person I once was? Is our church going to be okay? Is my business going to make it? Am I still going to have a job when this is all said and done? No, I've lost my job. Will I ever get another one? I've lost my marriage. Will anyone ever love me? What do you feel you have lost? And I know for many of us, there's a number of things, and I'm going to do my best by the help of Jesus to cover some of these things. But I hear over and over right now a lack of confidence, right? And part of it is the ambiguity of our future. Part of it is we are literally living in the unknown. No one's ever lived this long in human history. No one's ever been to 2021 except you and me. I told my 16-year-old, hey, it should be noted, no one's ever been 16 in 2021 but you and whoever else is 16. You are an unprecedented teenager. Like, give yourself some slack. But because of the ambiguity, because of the unknown, because of the unprecedented nature of the days, times, and seasons in which we live, so many of us are struggling with our confidence, our assurance, our boldness. And I want to remind you that Jesus is in the business of repairing, restoring, and replacing what you and I think we have lost. This brings me to a Bible story, brings me to a Bible character that I find incredibly encouraging and thoroughly interesting. And it's a young man by the name of John Mark. We will enter into his story as a young man. We are told that John Mark has a mother named Mary. We don't know exactly which Mary that is, but John Mark, at a pretty young age, probably a teenager, becomes a helpful assistance to a man maybe you've heard of, Paul. Paul's the artist formerly known as Saul, who vehemently opposed everyone called Christian and followed Jesus, has this radical conversion, becomes the author, by the help of Jesus himself, of course, of more than half of the New Testament. And he has these extraordinary missionary journeys where he plants churches in the known world. Now, one of his assistants, one of his helpers, one of his disciples is John, or John Mark. Some called him Marcus. Now, John Mark is also the cousin to Barnabas, and Paul and Barnabas at the time are kind of a tandem, and we find this in Acts chapter 13, and Acts chapter 14, and Acts chapter 15. But originally, things are going well, and then in Acts chapter 13, Paul and Barnabas go to this region called Cyprus, and there they start sharing the gospel, and of course, this young man, John Mark, is with them. Now, what we know about Cyprus is Paul and Barnabas have extraordinary success and extraordinary results until Cyprus. Cyprus it's kind of that COVID season. It's like, man, is anything good happening right now? Are we progressing at all? Is everything just on hold? And Cyprus records one person believes the message and story that Paul and Barnabas tell. Specifically, in Christian language, we call it one convert. They have one convert. Now, it's no wonder that during this hard, difficult missionary journey and season, evidently, John Mark decides, I want to go home. I'm tired. He starts out so strong, being a helper, being a fellow worker, helping Paul and Barnabas as they're sharing the love of Jesus. And then things get hard, difficult, challenging. No results. Can't go to work. Can't see your friends. Can't go to your favorite place to eat. Whatever it might be, things get hard, and suddenly John, who's very normal, says, I want to go home. Now, scholars and theologians will continue to debate throughout the ages of what really happened to John Mark and why. Some say he abandoned the faith. Some say he got weary, he got tired. Some say he just missed his mom. He just missed the comfort of home. Some say he was just young and things got difficult and hard. And he was like, man, I don't want to live this difficult life. I just want to go back to where I'm safe, where I'm comfortable, the things I know to be true. Does that sound familiar? If 2019 and 2020 didn't teach us anything, it's that in 2021, I just want some comfort. I want some escape. I want some ease. I want some rest. Right? I want to escape into a Netflix show, right? Give me Amazon Prime and give me a multiple TV series so I can watch season after season after season after season after season so I can escape. If you're like me, you felt like you started so strong during this pandemic, and I don't know, I still talk to a lot of people, text a lot of people, call a lot of people, and let me just say, there's not a lot of people that I'm talking to or meet with that are like, man, I feel so strong. I feel so great. What a great season. That's not really the trajectory of most people's life right now. Most people are going, man, I'm hurting. I walked in the studio today and we were all talking, a few of the crew that are here, and he just said, man, I just left a meeting where this particular individual is just going through one of the great, most difficult, painful seasons of their life. You can imagine, as a pastor right now, encouraging people is essential, paramount. Have you lost your confidence? Have you lost your passion for the future? Have you lost your ability to expect good things to happen in your life? Are you like John Mark? Are you like, I'm out, I'm tired, I'm weary? Now, you and I both know what happened in John Mark's mind when he got home. His brain, his thoughts had to play tricks on him. You quit. You're a quitter. You'll never be the same. Paul will never appreciate you. Your cousin Barnabas probably disdains you. You went home to your mom. You thought you were strong. You thought you were great. You thought you had faith. Look at you. You don't have faith. You've lost your job. You've lost friends. You're not who you think you are. In fact, I wonder if John Mark reclined on some cushions or a couch and wondered to himself, am I a fraud? Am I a fake? Is COVID the revealer? I think it is. I've heard so many people say that, and I really believe it to be true. In a lot of ways, this global pandemic is a revealer. And sometimes what it's revealed in my life is not what I was hoping for. Have you lost your confidence? Will you ever recover it? Will things ever be restored? And I wonder if John Mark felt that way. I wonder if you feel that way. Is it pointless? I can't do this anymore. I'm not strong, right? Are you the leader of your family? Do you care deeply for your friends? I'm going to talk for a moment to those out there. You're the encourager in the group. You're the encourager in your family. You're the positive person. You always have a good outlook. You always have positive expectations. And maybe your whole family or your friend group or your roommates or your teammates or your classmates, or they're all kind of counting on you. And you're thinking to yourself, I can't keep being the encourager. Who is going to encourage me? Come on, preachers and pastors. You know who I'm talking about. You're like, man, I'm supposed to be the preacher and the pastor. I need a preacher and a pastor. How am I going to go on? And maybe you're like me, you put an arbitrary timetable. You're like, all right, I can make it one more month. And then one more month comes and you're like, okay, things aren't getting better. They're getting worse. Oh my word. And again, here comes those haunting thoughts. Maybe, just maybe, I'll never be the same again. Maybe this won't work out. Maybe I actually missed my calling. Maybe I missed the mark. Maybe I'll never live the life that God wanted me to live. Over the years, I hear preachers talk about how, you got to follow Jesus, and Preachers like me, they warn people like you, and they warn people like me, and they tell us, like, don't miss God. Stay alert, stay sensitive, stay focused, stay holy, stay engaged. Come on, church, don't miss God. You can miss God. And everyone's like, I don't want to miss it. I want to miss it. And if you're like me in 2021, you're like, okay, I missed it. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm weary. I'm broken. I don't have any more confidence. Give me Netflix. And Jesus still loves me, right? And we kind of settle, don't we? We just kind of settle, like, all right, well, at least he loves me, and I guess I'm not going to be the great, awesome, amazing person I thought I once was. Forgive my candor and forgive my crudeness, but do you ever look back on your life and think, man, to be young and dumb again? And if you're young, I don't mean you're dumb. But for some of us, you're kind of, being young and just ignorant. The whole world is your oyster, as they say. And you think you can do anything. And you're just like, let's go. Remember my first time traveling and preaching, and I was like, I couldn't wait to get on stage to hear what incredible thing that I was going to say that God was going to give me, and it was going to go so well. And then you get older and you realize things can go wrong. Sermons can be bad. People can be critical. What if they don't like my sermon? Where's my confidence? And you kind of look back at the younger version of yourself or the pre-COVID version of yourself, and you kind of go, where is that guy? Where's that gal? Where is she? Where is he? Well, maybe I'll never be that. And you got to know that was where John Mark was. Maybe it's over. I love that the Bible doesn't tell us why he went home, because I think we would make that the point, but it's not. For whatever reason, John Mark went back. He quit. He was done. He was weary. He was tired. But don't you give up on this sermon yet, because I'm about to show you how God restored John Mark's confidence, his calling, his passion, and his purpose. And I want to remind you, if God can do it for John Mark, God can do it for you. Now, another thing, I love when the Bible doesn't talk about things you think it would, right? Tell us why John Mark left Paul and Barnabas. No, I'm not going to. Okay, that's not the point. Now, if John Mark makes a comeback, I hope the Bible tells us exactly what he did so then we could do, but that's not the point of the Bible. The point of the Bible is that here's the 7 things John Mark did to make a comeback and get his confidence back. That's not the Bible. That's not the focus. That's not the message. That's not what we're to preach. We're to preach what the Bible gives us. And we don't know what happened to John Mark other than to say Jesus happened to John Mark. Who is Jesus? He's a redeemer. We were hoping the 2 disciples say to Jesus, who they don't yet know is Jesus. We were hoping that the crucified man in the middle cross, we were hoping he was the one to restore, replace, redeem, repair our nation and our people. But I guess not. Oh, he is the redeemer of your confidence. He is the restorer of your confidence. And I would like to predict over your life that you will come out of this pandemic with a more vast understanding of the beautiful ways of Jesus and who you are because of his love. You're actually going to have not just confidence, you're going to have tested confidence. And that's a deeper confidence. That's an enduring confidence. That's a robust confidence. That's a lasting confidence. Because it's not a confidence in your ability or your gift. It's a lasting confidence that the same Jesus who gave you the gift in the first place will watch over it, nurture it, and keep it in your life. Philemon chapter 1 and verse 24, Paul later, many years later, not exactly sure exactly how many years, but it was years. Oh, what a hurry and a rush we are in. This is not probably what you want to hear in March of 2021. But church, can I tell you, God's never in a rush. He's never in a hurry. Years later, the John Mark maybe we thought we would never hear from again, the young man who couldn't stand up, be strong when times got hard. Paul later writes, years later, John Mark, he's my fellow worker. He calls him a worker, not a deserter, but a worker. And then it gets better. 2 Timothy chapter 4, in verse 11, towards the end of Paul's life on earth, the young man who years before cashed it in and went home to his mom is a totally different man. Paul writes at the conclusion of 2 Timothy, he says, hey, could you find Mark for me? I want to see him. Look what it says, comma. He is a tremendous help for me in my ministry. He is a tremendous, I love that word tremendous. He is a strength. He's a source of energy. He's a source of hope. He lifts my spirits. Paul's saying, I know my life is short, but there's a few people I want to see at the end of my life. And guess who's one of them? John Mark. I got to be honest. To be in the short list for Paul the Apostle at the end of his life, that's something, man. You know, like when a friend of yours goes, man, my friends are these couple of people, and you're in there, you're like, oh man, I'm one of a few friends. That's amazing. Wow, that feels special. Can you imagine how John Mark felt when Paul at the end of his life, how many know at the end of your life, you're not looking just to hang with people because you should or you could. You're very selective. Paul goes, no, John Mark is such a strength to me. At the end of my life, could I see him one more time? Do you know who John Mark is? Some of you are like, I know, Judah. Well, some people don't. You know who he is? He's the author of the Gospel of Mark. Can you imagine? The kid who went home to his mom because Paul's missionary work was too hard and there wasn't enough results. He just didn't, it was inconvenient or whatever reason, we don't know for sure. He just went home, maybe to comfort, convenience, whatever it is. You'd never guess, would you? You'd never guess. That can't be the guy who writes a gospel, who tells the story of Jesus. In fact, I end with this. There's a very, very, very mysterious few verses that only Mark records. It's found in Mark chapter 14. Starting with verse 50. And let's just have some fun as we conclude the first part of our series of What You Thought You Lost. And I just want to say it again. What you thought you lost in COVID-19, God is already working to replace, restore, and repair. In fact, why can't we believe that the same God that did work in John Mark is the same God doing work in you? It says, but all this fulfills the prophecy of the scripture. Verse 50 says, at that point, all the disciples ran away and abandoned Jesus. Now, again, I'm going to read to you two verses that are only found in Mark's gospel. There was a young man there following Jesus wearing only a linen sheet wrapped around him. They tried to arrest him also, but he slipped from their grasp and ran off naked, leaving his linen cloth in their hands. Now, we don't know for sure, but from best I can tell, and much smarter theologians, scholars, and writers, it is our best guess of who this young man might be, it's probably John Mark himself. It's probably John Mark himself. The timelines seem to add up. That would be just about the time he'd be a young man. Now, there is some symbolism here. There is some foreshadowing here. That's extraordinary. The word linen sheet or linen cloth is the exact same words or cloth that was used for burial clothes. This can't be an accident. Think about it. Mark may very well be writing about himself, even if he's not. The foreshadowing and the symbolism is profound. Maybe the lowest moment of this young man's life, who could be John Mark, is that when all the disciples walked away from Jesus because it got difficult and their life was in question. Maybe, just maybe, John Mark wrote about a young man. And he said he was in burial clothes. And they tried to arrest him. And they ran away. And he left the linen cloth in their hand. Do you know what Mark just maybe might be saying about himself, but is certainly saying about whoever this young man is? That his fearful, forsaking, abandoning, neglecting, low moment of walking away from Jesus, God now in his majesty and his beauty has now put it in Scripture as a foreshadowing of the resurrection of Jesus. I want you to think, see, God is not just a redeemer in that he takes your low moments and eventually he helps. No, he can take the lowest moment of your life and use it as a sign and a symbol of what he does and what he's capable of doing. When you are weak, then you are strong, and the power of Christ rests upon you. You think you've lost your confidence? Your lowest moment is proof that only the resurrection of Jesus can repair, restore, make right, and help me be the man that I always dreamed possible. Oh, my brothers and sisters, we don't have a money problem. We don't have a moral problem. We got a theology problem. This life is not so much about your accomplishments or your successes or your qualities or your confidence or your ability or energy to muster up all of the fortitude and all of the moral excellence that you can to honor God. No! The story of this life is man is dust. Man and woman are broken and we are shattered. And just one virus in a matter of months can sweep the globe, put all of us on our heels, isolate ourselves, and make us realize the fragility of life is not an idea or a concept. In fact, it's a reality. How fragile are we? How broken are we? How finite is things like confidence, assurance, resolve, boldness. So is that your plan? Is that your plan? Well, as soon as this COVID's over, man, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. No, wait. I hear you. I appreciate your hard work. I hear you, but I wonder if the mysterious restorative power of Jesus that worked in John Mark is working in you. See, what you think is your undoing is actually one of the most extraordinary parts of your story. It's actually, if maybe this is John Mark, his lowest, revealing, awkward, naked moment of his life ends up becoming a poetic, symbolic foreshadowing of the resurrection of the Savior of the world. Is God in this pandemic? Yes, he is. He is here, and he is redeeming, and he is restoring, and he is repairing, and he is replacing. And I choose to look into your future and the future of this community and communities all over the world and declare that our best days are still yet ahead. Watch God redeem. All those two disciples, they said, we were hoping. Isn't that wild? Life can get so hard, your faith turns into just a hope. It's like blowing out birthday candles. What'd you wish for? I don't know, a future? All right, well, let's hope for the best. No! God is in control. I'm not just wishing. I'm not blowing out candles every day, hoping that my wishes come true. No, I am believing that the same God who restored John Mark, who becomes one of the great Bible characters in the whole of Scripture, that what he can do for him, he can do for you. I know, man, it's hard to expect. Jude, I've been expecting that God would do that. Let's keep expecting. Let's keep expecting. I'm so excited to share more stories with you, more passages with you, more scriptures with you along the lines of what you think you lost. Because I am persuaded that what you think you lost, God has already been working to restore, redeem, repair, and replace. Your days ahead are the best. I'm believing that for you and for your family. Can I pray for you? Jesus, I thank you for the minutes, as brief as they are, that we get to share on your story. You are changing us. You are changing us. Thank you. Oh, great Redeemer of human history. Redeem again. Redeem again days lost, time lost. We feel like we're isolated and alone, and we feel like that dream will never come to pass. Redeem again. Redeem again. Redeem again. We welcome your redemptive work in the trajectory of our life here on earth, and we will look for it, and we will anticipate it. If you're watching this right now and you would like to receive the free gift of forgiveness that only Jesus offers, I want to invite you and welcome you to do that right now. You can just hold your hands out just like you're receiving a gift, because in fact, that's what's happening. You can't earn it or deserve it. You just receive the free gift of forgiveness that Jesus purchased for you on the middle cross. Died, buried, rose again on the third day to declare that he is God and he has power over death itself. He is the only one that can save you and can save me from ourself, our sin, our error, and our wrong. And he does it willingly and freely. And all you have to do is accept it. If you accept it, if you accept him, say this out loud: I receive you, Jesus. Thank you for your forgiveness. You'll never be the same again. I love you, church. I'm so excited we get an opportunity to talk more about all the things that we think we lost that God is already working to restore. Love you, church.